the EU climate goals require huge investment, particularly in the energy sector. So the transition to a green economy is indeed time critical. We need to be fast and to be efficient and to mobilize an enormous amount of money and investment. So the new guidelines should reflect this urgency.
If we want to reach climate neutrality by 2050, we need to invest a lot of money, and we need also to step up in terms of technology. We need to double the investment in wind farms, and we need to triple investment in solar farms. To do so, we need the appropriate guidelines, and we need some sort of support, some long-term vision, so that the industry is ready to invest in the long run in these technologies.
So in the next decade, Europe will need an extra 350 billion euros of green investment, and this each year, to reach the newly increased 2030 climate and energy targets. We will need the public spending to act as a catalyst to make this happen, and happen fast enough. The implementation of the Green Deal will require quite significant investment from both the public and the private sectors. And this in a situation where we are facing an unprecedented health crisis, which has had severe economic and budgetary consequences for many countries. The objective of the revision is to provide modernized, simplified, future-proof enabling framework for public authority so that they can reach these objectives, but also we have to make sure that this happens in a cost-effective manner and with a minimum distortion of competition and trade in the Union.
We have to update and modernize them in order to allow Europe to achieve the targets that may be achievable thanks to technologies which are already mature. It's clear that the decarbonization, carbon neutrality, will require all technologies other than what we know today, what are competitive today. And then we have to explore a new world of technologies which today are probably out of the money. And then they need help, they need some kind of support. I'm referring, for example, to hydrogen, which is an important part of the story, while it's very important to make sure that this hydrogen will be generated through renewable sources, because otherwise we are not fixing the issue. I'm referring to for example, to the infrastructure needed in order to kickstart the boom of electric mobility in Europe.
We definitely need an evolution of these rules if we want to be up to the challenge of the 2050 climate neutrality. But we should focus at least on two different aspects. The first one is the ability to invest into capital-intensive assets. It's true for nuclear, and we know we need nuclear in the long run to complement renewables in the energy mix. And it is also the case for storage. The second challenge is the capacity to create real industry and create jobs in renewables, be it in wind or solar.
Renewable energy sources are very competitive today. We believe that it's very important to have then a proper improvement, a proper reform of state aids concerning this area. But it's even more important to adapt to the market rules in order to create pricing conditions, long-term signals aimed at promoting this investment, which may be competitive by themselves in a proper market condition.
It is very important that the rules support the green investment, but also that they make sure that the public money does not crowd out private investment, private spending, that they contribute to the level playing field in the single market, and that they support also the integrity of the energy and the environmental market. So we need to make sure that those rules are ready for this vast increase of green investment that are foreseen.
Having new rules for 2030 is also very important, because for a utility like EDF, 2030 is not tomorrow, it's today. We are investing on a very long-term period, so we need some clarity and visibility on state aid guidelines.
When exceptional circumstances arise, we need a flexible approach.
There is a lot of cash that may be ready to be invested in the recovery. It's quite important that this process could work according to the one-stop shop model. Then fast, deep, and unique evaluation, and then a clear picture for investor to proceed.
We have seen during the crisis the pricing of the carbon fluctuating, and this is not good for investors. If you want to channel money and investment to low carbon technologies, you need to have a credible and a steady CO2 pricing. That's why ETS and the reform of ETS is also very important.
That there are huge differences between the ability of national budget to respond to the crisis and to help the business, and as a result there are huge differences in the amount of aid that are being granted from one member state to the other. So basically this discrepancy concerns all of us. It's in our common interest to avoid an asymmetric recovery, because this will risk even greater divergence among the member states in the internal market. So it is by having an encompassing recovery that supports all member states that we can recover strongly and quicker.